Good morning, children. Okay, children, today I am going to take social for ninth class. Lesson 11, the government budget and taxation. Textbook, page number 130. Yes, role of the government. In most modern societies, the government is responsible for a number of crucial functions. These also include the more traditional functions like defending the country and maintaining internal law and orders. So in addition, the government has to take the responsibility of setting up, running schools, colleges, institutions, libraries, health centers, hospitals, post office, and a variety of other public institutions. So it is all the government responsibility to set up all these things. The public transport system and the infrastructure of roads and railways are constructed and maintained by the government. So the public transport, the infrastructure and the roadways, railways, all these things should be constructed and maintained by the government. In providing water, sanitation, electricity facilities, the government has to play an active role. So in providing water facilities, electricity, all these also the government has to take care. And the government should play an active role in the providing all these facilities. Facilities like healthcare and sanitation, electricity, public transport, schools and colleges are known as public facilities. So the facilities like healthcare means hospitals, sanitation, electricity, public transport, schools, colleges, they all are called as public facilities. The important characteristics of public facility is that one is to provide the benefits can be shared by many people. So the public facility, it should be provided to the people, which should be benefited to every one of the country people. You have read about this in class 8. For instance, a government school is in a village will enable many children to get education. So for example, which you already read in class 8, that if a government school in a village will enable many children to get education. Similarly, the supply of electricity to an area can be useful for many people. So how a government school gives education to many children, the same way the electricity also is useful to many people in a village. Whether in village or town, will benefit in some way or the other. The public facilities have to be available to all and at an affordable rate. So the public facility should be available to everyone. That should be in an affordable rate, so that each and every, the poor or the rich, can be afford. So the public facility should be in an affordable rate. Government have the responsibility for this. It may take up the work on its own or get it organized. So government is a responsibility to taking up all these facilities. The government itself can work on this, or it can take and it can be get organized. They can be organize it through some others. Besides the provision of public facilities, the government has the responsibility toward protection of livelihoods. So not only the facilities, but also the government has to take the protection for the livelihood also. You have read about the right to work and the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, that is NGNRGA in rural areas. The act mandates that it is the responsibility of the government to provide manual work on demand and the wages to the workers, and the capital needed are to be paid by the government. So, it is the responsibility of the government to provide a manual work to the people to get their job, and the work which the people will do, for that they should pay the capital, and the capital which is needed to pay to the workers should be paid by the government. The distribution of food grains at fair price in the PDS shops is organized and the subsidy borne by the government. The distribution of the food grains in the PDS shops, that is in the ration shops, the fair price shops, is organized by the subsidy borne by the government. As we seen, these are critical for the food security of the poor. So as we can see that this is very difficult for the poor people. In the past, the Indian government has also played a major role in setting up heavy industries such as heavy engineering, power generation, production of steel, extraction and refining of petroleum, etc., without which industrialization would have been very difficult. You read more about these basic industries in chapter 7 in this book. In the rural areas, investments on irrigation projects and agriculture extension works by the government and crucial for farming. The government also helps farmers by selling fertilizers at a lower price than what would have been otherwise fixed by the factories. The government compensates factories to some extent so that the final price of fertilizers is affordable for the farmers. This money paid by the government to the factories is the subsidy for fertilizers. If this was not there, the price changed by the factories would have been much higher. Similarly, the government provides the subsidies for many products by compensating the procedure so that the prices is kept affordable, especially for those who need it the most. In this way, it subsidizes the price of kerosene, food grain from fair price shops, LPG gas cylinders, etc. These days, there is a lot of debate on how effective these subsidies have been. Are they benefiting people? Are there better ways of organizing them? You will read about some of these issues in this chapter. So to fulfill the various roles, the government must have adequate money. So to fulfill all the needs of the people, the government should have adequate money. If the money required for the different functions of the government is collected from the people in the form of taxes. So the government also required money to fulfill all the things. So from where do government get money? The government collect money in the name of taxes. There are a variety of taxes that the government collects, about which we shall study in the next sections. The taxes collected constitute the revenue of the government. The revenues are necessary to finance the expenditure of the government. So, the government, whichever the government spends the money, is nothing but it is our money. The money which they collect from us as the taxes. There are a variety of taxes, different taxes are there, which the government is collecting from the people. The annual budget presented before the Parliament by the Finance Minister gives the expected expenditure by the government on its various programs. Okay, so the Finance Minister, before the end of the Parliament, the Finance Minister gives the budget. It also states how these expenditures are going to be met through various revenue collections. And also the finance minister shows how this budget is going to be it also states that how these expenditures on the various programs for coming year, how it goes on to be met through various revenue collections. Similarly, in each state assembly, the state government presents the budget for the state. So in each state government, The state government only presents the budget for that particular state. Expenditure by the government. Let us look at the actual expenditure of Indian government to get a sense of how and how much money the government spends on us. Okay, let us see how the expenditure of our Indian government is going to spend, how much money the government is spending on us. In 2011-12, the government spent around 23 crores, 23 crore lakh crores. This seems to be a lot of money, and indeed it is. Nearly 1/4 of the total spending in the Indian economy is by the government. Rest of the 3/4 of the spending is by the private sector. So, in this nearly 1/4 of the total spending is from the Indian economy, and the remaining is from Indian economy is by the government. Rest of the 3/4 of the spending is by the private sector. Households that spend on food, education, travel, clothes, housing, health, entertainment, etc. And business, whether it is manufacturing or a service, that have to spend on raw materials. Machines, other products, wages and salaries to employees, sales and marketing, and other expenses for running the business. The pie chart gives the proportion in which this money was spent across various expenditure heads by the government. Here the pie chart shows the various expenditures which is spent by the government. In India, in the year 2011-12, from 1st April 2011 to 31st March 2012, here the government refers to both central government and all the state governments. In the year 2011-12, 12% of the total expenditure was on education, art and culture. This includes both salaries of employees, running costs of school and the colleges. So in 2011-12, there was expenditure of the 12% of the total expenditure. That includes the expenses of the salaries for the teachers, both the employers and for both of them, and the running cost of schools and colleges, as well as new investment like construction of new schools, buildings, purchase of new computers, books, etc. Similarly, 4% of the total spending was on health and sanitation. 4% was on rural development and so on. So 4% was spent on the health and sanitation, and remaining another 4% was on development, rural development. When you look at the pie chart, you will notice that besides spending on development activities, there are certain other expenditures like administration, pension, interest and defense. So if you see the pie chart, the spending on development activities, there are certain other expenses like administration, pensions, interest and for defense. These do not contribute to development directly, but they are necessary. They do not contribute these things development directly, but they are very necessary to run its various department programs and the organs of the state legislature, executive and judiciary. There are expenditures on this administration. The government also pays pension to workers who have retired from the government. The government also pays the pensions to the workers who has been retired. Then there are expenditures on interest payments. Since every year the Indian government has to borrow some money to meet its expenditure, it has to pay interest on its past borrowings. Even the government has to pay the interest, because every year government would borrow money from other countries to adjust for the expenditure. So they have to pay interest for that also. The amount that government spends on health versus defense depends on the policy priorities of the government and people's voice. Every year around the time of the budget, and once the budget is presented, you would have seen there is a lot of media attention on these issues. So every year, before and after the budget, there will be a lot of issues in the media, like they have increased on the prices on this, on the land, on this, that. Though the decision on budgetary spending is mostly taken by the government, consultations happen between the government and industry groups, farmer groups, civil society activities, etc. Groups representing certain sections of the people voice their views, demands, and at times their disagreements before the government. It is through pressure of this kind that the people have demanded greater spending on social sectors such as education, health, food subsidy, etc. The check on the government on matters of budget is ensured through legislative control. The parliament has to debate the various issues of the budget that has been placed before it and approve the expenditure proposals of the government. The parliament has to allow the government to withdraw money from its expenditure. Similarly, no tax can be levied except by the authority of the law passed by parliament. Thus, as per the constitutional requirement, the elected representatives of the people have an important say in the budgetary decision making. Now taxes. Taxes are the main source of revenue for the government. So taxes is the main sources of revenue for the government. So there are a variety of taxes collected by the government. You might have heard about some of them like goods and service tax, that is GST, income tax, property tax, custom duty, etc. The taxes can broadly be classified into two categories: direct tax and indirect tax. So you might have heard like the taxes GST and income tax, property, custom duty. The taxes can be broadly classified into two groups. That is, one is direct tax and one is indirect tax. First, let us see about the direct tax. We pay taxes on goods and services that we buy, consume. So whatever the things, goods and services which we buy or which we consume, we pay tax for that. We have seen how the procedure or the trader adds the taxes to the final price which consumers have to pay. We can see the traders, the business people, how they add their taxes on the final price. So whatever the consumer is buying, he has to pay the tax for that. As the goods pass through a number of stages of production and sale, of each step the taxes are paid to the government. However, the total tax is finally passed to the consumer. So however, the total tax has to be paid by the consumer, the person who buys it. Thus, taxes on goods and services are also called indirect taxes. Taxes on the goods and services are also called as indirect taxes. Consumers pay it but indirectly. In addition, there are taxes which are directly charged on individual, directly on their income or directly on the profits earned by companies and business. These taxes have to be paid directly by the individuals or business to the government and hence are called direct tax. There are two important direct taxes, income tax and cooperative tax. Companies that run factories or business have to pay taxes. The companies which run factories and business, they have to pay the taxes. Companies or business receive money from the sale of their products or services. After subtracting all expenses on raw materials, salaries, etc. from their earnings, the portion that remains is known as the profit of that company or factory. On this profit, corporate tax has to be paid according to the rules. So if there is a company, after selling everything, they'll get some amount. From that amount, they'll take out the salaries of the workers, they'll take out the amount for the material, they take out the rent, they take out everything, and at last they get some money. That is the profit. That is the profit which they are getting. So on this profit we have to pay the tax. Income tax is charged on personal income of individuals. There can be a variety of sources of individual incomes like wages, salaries and pensions. And so there is a different types of sources of individual's income. An individual is there be different sources, like he can earn like wages, he can earn salaries, he can get pensions. These are different sources of income. An individual can also earn interest income on money that is kept in banks. An individual also can get interest if he kept the money in the bank. A person might also get a rent on properties that he owns, like house rent. All these are considered as incomes on which taxes have to be paid. All these are considered to be as a income for the individual. For example, if he has a double store building, the rent which he will be getting, that is also his income. So whatever the income from whichever sources the person is getting, these all, for all these things they have to pay the tax. Okay children, so now we will stop this class here. So you will have to write the question answer for this lesson, first and second question answer. And then you have to read the lesson first, and then write first and second question answer for this lesson. After writing, take the photo and send it to the school mail ID children. We will continue this class, and we will discuss the remaining part of the lesson in the next session. Till then, take care children. We'll meet you in the next class. Have a nice day.